Hi, this is the Red Pill, Matthew from Boston. It seems there have been emergencies across Massachusetts ever since this morning. This morning, the emergency, which was reported as some type of power grid outage, or what some are saying is like a cyber attack, was reported first in the morning by the news. And then about 5 hours ago from right now at 1:35, the Massachusetts State Police and the Boston Police put out a tweet that I'm about to show you that basically says all clear, the problem's been resolved. 4 hours after that, a tweet went out to all residents of Massachusetts, or like if you're born in Massachusetts, for instance. I know a lot of people in southern New Hampshire that received this tweet from Mema, which is basically FEMA, but FEMA would be federal and Mema Massachusetts, in case you were wondering what that meant. And a text came out to everybody on their phones saying that in case of the power grid outage, that you won't be able to use 911, so to make sure you write down your police and fire department's phone numbers, which doesn't really make sense, because if you can't make a 911 call, why would you be able to make a 10-digit call? I just don't get that. And so right after that, something came up on the TVs. This is like 45 minutes later. On the TV, this is not a test. It was the EAS, Emergency Alert System, which said basically more of the same. Let's say for people who don't have phones, elderly people, it came out on the TV. So I wasn't surprised by that. But it was immediately followed by a second test stating exactly the same. I'm going to show you pictures of everything, and we're going to get right to it here. A buddy, Marfoogle, of mine from the West Coast, he's actually been keeping track of some unusual activity on the West Coast, as well as here on the East Coast. This first video is from the East Coast, and then the second video will be from the West Coast. So let's check it out.
And I'm using this under fair use. I will make sure to go in after.
Okay guys, I don't know what is going on, but the entire sky is green, and
look at that. A buddy, Marfoogle, of mine from the West Coast, he's actually been keeping track of some unusual activity on the West Coast, as well as here on the East Coast.
I have no idea. It looks like a tornado or something.
East Coast, and then the second video will be from the West Coast.
So what you were seeing is in New York City, that sky just kept going. I mean, like, this literally did not stop for, one person said 45 minutes. Now, what they say that
looks like the end of the world or something.
And you can probably hear him talking. For some reason, I think that there is sound that I'm not hearing.
And it's funny because I'm not gonna play anything else besides this video, because permission was given to play this video. But I'm not gonna play the rest of his stream. But it's funny,
so this Blues Flash, if you guys watch my show, you know about a couple weeks ago, we had in
types of
the Northwest, we had one of the craziest
power grid
storms ever. And the reason why I say that is we get wind, we get storms, we get rain all the time, and we actually rarely get lightning. But when we do get lightning, it's grandiose. But what I saw was way crazy, and I showed you guys the video. A lot of you guys were there live. It was a weather channel that was on YouTube. It's some guy that does stock footage for news places. So I did not broadcast. In fact, since I showed it live, I actually privated that video because it said do not broadcast right across the screen. So I was trying to be respectful to him. But as you guys saw, from the Edmonds Ferry coming in towards Seattle, there was this gigantic triangle of blue light coming from the ground. Now, people said that
buffering there for a minute. on so pretty soon he's going to show actually from the West Coast, actually in Washington State, outside Seattle.
So I know you guys can see this. Like, did you see how the power, it basically just traveled all the way across it, and then throughout the video you can see it going across other lines, and
Alright, so
it was kind of hard to
here's
see
that.
from the angle
Here's
if it was going
the
across the
footage
same
from
one.
Seattle.
To me, what it looked like is that
Look at this.
power surge was going across that same line. But I think what was happening, it was going from one to the other, then
I've heard
one
lightning,
to another,
but I
and then
never
one
heard
to another.
lightning where
Basically
the
just
bolts
going
just
along
keep
the
hitting the
lines.
same place, and then you'll see
Here's what people are saying, and I actually
there's
don't
not
know
a
what to
line
think.
that
In my
connects
opinion,
these
I
two
think
places.
that there will be
It's
some
almost
stuff
like it's
going on
directed
with
energy
solar,
weapons being
as
shot
far
down.
as,
And
again,
I've been
this is my
saying
opinion.
for years that it never made sense to me the way the Navy ships, which I was in the Navy, Navy ships, helicopters have been going down, the planes crashing. These things don't happen at such a frequent rate, which leads me to believe, as a former cryptologist, which, if you don't know, is a code breaker, requires top secret, sensitive, compartmentalized clearance. These things do not happen, and when they do, they're not going to come out and say, that this country or that country, let's say China, did it, or mess with our radar, and caused a helicopter to crash, two planes to crash, Navy ships to crash. You look up how many of those situations have happened in the past, I say 3 to 5 years, and then look at how often that's happened before that. It's not a common thing at all. Which leads me to think we've been in some type of electric warfare. And then, you look at some of the things from Paradise, California with the fires, and you'll see houses burnt to the ground, just house after house after house. Yet not one tree has any of the bark burnt off it. So, you can check out those videos yourself, do your own research, be a critical thinker. But let's talk about what's going on in Massachusetts right now. I just wanted to show you that to give you some context, because it was called Watch Out for Something in Boston Tomorrow. And here we go. So it starts out, actually, I guess it was 7 hours. I think it was more like 6.5, but 7 hours ago. Technical issues with the 911 system and the resulting wireless capability outages have been resolved. Massachusetts callers may resume using 911 from their cell phone for public safety emergencies. Okay? And that comes from a tweet that they put out here. Let's see, and that was in the middle of the night, about 3 in the morning, CenturyLink outage affecting wireless 911 capability in Massachusetts. You could believe that and take it at face value, or start to kind of really follow how this goes. So if that was the case, that's a fix. And if they announce that everything's fixed, you would think it is. So they're saying, all right, please stop, calling 911 or, the 10-digit number, meaning your police department, just to make sure that you can call, because people are obviously getting worried. And trust me, they do not want to worry people for no reason. But they have no choice. It's just too obvious a thing that there'd be too much backlash afterwards. So here we go, 1 hour ago. Sporadic 911 outages continue for both landlines, so not just cellular, which is what it said before, and it named the Pacific. So here we go. Landlines and cellular throughout Massachusetts. Okay? And so yeah, that's where we are with them. And now, as I was explaining before, FEMA would be the federal um, disaster relief. We all know about FEMA, but I actually never knew about MEMA until just recently. Okay, so let's check this out, because there's been 2 alerts that I've gotten. So 3 hours ago, this is the first alert I got. Sporadic 911 outages continue. In an emergency, if 911 does not work, use 10-digit number for local police fire. Like I said earlier, that makes no sense to me. If 911 isn't working, then why would the 10-digit? If someone knows the answer to that, could you please leave it in the comments below? I appreciate it. Maybe they explain it. Still have fire alarm street play. Another way to get the fire is also, pull the fire alarm if you need the Boston fire. I mean, that's scary. We already seen the stuff from the Mass State Police. Where's the other meme? So they didn't put up their second emergency alert, but they did put up a second emergency alert, which I'll actually show you right now. So here's the second one. All right. So I wish I got it when it was live so I could see. Oh, here we go. All right. So as you can see, there's 2 of them. If you can see, all right. If you can see there, the first one was at 11:39 a.m. per MEMA. Sporadic 911 outages and emergency use 10-digit number for, we read that earlier. And then the top one is the newer one at 1:35 p.m., which, by the way, came right after a emergency alert system on the TV. Per MEMA, sporadic 911 outages and emergency passed. Okay, so too much time has actually passed for me to be able to rewind the Xfinity and actually get it live on the air. But I mean, just you look it up on Twitter. I'll do it with you. It'll show that the EAS did broadcast about 2 hours ago. But I went on their webpage and I found some interesting stuff that I think is worth sharing for sure. So here is the scheduled tests. And so for December, entering January, today's the 28th of December, December 4th, from 4 midnight to 4 a.m., which is actually odd, actually, now that I think about it. I don't know if it depends on, okay, that's for one station, but I'm pretty sure that's the station I had on. That's actually odd because I got one only a few days ago, and it was at like 6 a.m. And this says from 12 midnight to 4 a.m. And it doesn't, well, that's odd. Okay. Or 1 p.m. Yeah, it was at 6 a.m. That's odd. So who knows? Maybe that was just a test. Maybe something was anticipated. So what I want to show you now is this is what you've been hearing a lot now, MEMA. It's a section of FEMA, and this is their Massachusetts operational areas. Okay, now this is up as of right now. So depending on where you live, if you want to take a look, Berkshire, Connecticut Valley, Central Mass, Merrimack Valley, Metro Boston, Southeast Mass, Cape and Islands. And here's a map. Maybe we can blow this up a bit. Let's see. I'm trying to see. So I'm trying to see what the last. Okay, yeah. So basically, like if you live in like Middlesex, unless it's Billerica and higher, um, you're looking at, if you live in Middlesex, mostly Middlesex and Suffolk. This is the most populated QA5. That's where I live, right about here, and Middlesex. That also includes some of Essex. Middlesex and Essex, the northern parts, QA4, Worcester County, QA3. So what's that down there? Bristol County, I think, Fall River, New Bedford. Then you got the Cape, that's its own, including Martha's Vineyard, Nantucket, or vice versa, and the Berkshires. And okay, so I wanted to show that map so you know where you are, because those are all operational as of right now. Normally, when you go to the emergency alert system, you don't see MEMA. You might see stuff with FEMA, but not MEMA. Which brought me to this. Brought me to FEMA IPAWS, which stands for Integrated Public Alert and Warning System. Which, what do you know? Due to the lapse in federal funding, this website will not be actively managed. I mean, I know that the government shut down, but pretty questionable, let's say, timing. Very convenient timing for them. It's just that there's a lot of funny moving parts, and what if there was a disaster? Look at it. Due to last federal funding, this website is not actually. Okay, so that's not good. But for some reason, yeah, no thanks. But for some reason, MEMA seems to be operational, and you saw the different zones. And at the end, I just want to give you what I think is going on. What I think is going on is that there have been some DEW, or directed energy weapons, that were used on us. And they were also electric interference being used in some of our U.S. warships, and the helicopters with the Navy SEALs, and the some of the fighter jets crashing into each other. Here and there, these accidents do happen, especially at times of war in Afghanistan, but at the rate that they've been happening, it's unprecedented. And you would think our technology would be better than ever, and we would avoid these type of things. Yet it's happening more often than ever, especially the Navy ships. I mean, that just doesn't happen. And if we could look up Navy ships that have crashed. All right, here we go. So the USS McCain. By the way, that I just want to make sure people know that's not John McCain, the senator that's named after. Okay, it's named after his father. Okay, so the collision between the U.S. John McCain's and a Singapore merchant ship, I mean, that just doesn't happen. Today marks the fourth time. Like I said, I don't know if I said at the beginning. I was Navy. Like I know these things, and I was a cryptologist. That had access to top secret information. I know a lot about electric warfare, and these things don't happen unless there is electronic warfare. In the wake of the McCain collision, which left 10 sailors missing and another 5 injured, that's a pretty bad crash. Admiral John Richardson has ordered a broad review of recent incidents involving U.S. Navy ships. There will also be an operational pause and a deeper look into how we train and certify forces operating in and around Japan. That's kind of I would take that with a grain of salt. The review will focus on the pace of operations for Navy ships in the Pacific pertaining to maintenance, equipment, and personnel. I think the two most important words there are equipment and then maintenance. Alright? So I would actually put that in reverse. Personnel to man the equipment and do maintenance so that this stops happening. Because this hasn't happened now since then, I believe. Actually, I think I'm wrong. Hold on. So all four crashes. Now our Navy ships are everywhere in the world, in every sea, from the Atlantic. I mean, I was Pacific Fleet, but I also was in Virginia for a while. It's just I was stateside doing shore duty because as a cryptologist sometimes you do shore duty from certain bases that are underground. They're not secret that they exist, but they're underground, and I'm not disclosing any classified intel by saying that. So this is the best part. All 4 crashes were confined to Asian waters. With the South China Sea, what China's trying to do. That we're fighting them on it. Now there's a trade war on top of it since this article. I mean, you tell me. And the Navy is not having the same problem in the Atlantic or the Mediterranean. So why is that? The Navy will need to determine why these mishaps keep happening with the Pacific Fleet. Things like this should never happen, he said. But it's happened twice in 2 months, so they need to get to the bottom of that. Well, actually, it had happened in four times in less than a year at this point. The Navy will likely look at basic procedures. Let me see what else we got. The crashes occurring during basic seamanship instead of the course of combat operations. Well, okay, let's say they were combat operations being used against us. Now, do you think that they would tell you if it wasn't a full-blown war, but just kind of like an electronic war, which has been going on for a while, which is obvious? Do you think they'd tell us? No, of course not. Not until it's an all-out war. Right now, they're trying to keep the lives lost to a minimum, And, the biggest threat to this country isn't a nuke, it's the EMP, which is essentially exploding a nuke, but way above the US, which, because of the energy of it, would knock out our whole power grid. Now, I'm not saying that's what happened here in Massachusetts, but, depending on the size, you could develop a very small nuke and potentially put it above Massachusetts, but then we would have no electricity at all. So I would say it's more along the lines of cyber warfare that's affecting the electrical grid. But it seems like bad timing. It also seems a little too convenient that the government shut down. Who knows? Maybe they saw this coming. Okay. So, anyways, I'm just gonna leave it on. Also, I have Q up here. Not that I exactly believe Q is definitely real or anything like that, because if you do, then you're not a critical thinker. The way I think about Q is, I can tell you one thing: he's definitely not a LARP. If you don't know what a LARP is, it's like, some guy that's just sitting in his underwear messing with people. I mean, as a former Navy intel guy myself, I can tell you that this is real intel, as far as terminology, the way he frames it, certain coding he uses. So it's one of two things. One of three things. It's either, one, exactly what he says it is, which is, President Trump and the military intelligence is taking out the deep state. And maybe that's why we have some of these problems going on. Or two, which is most scary to me, is that it's artificial intelligence, which means that it's not only learning, but very easily able to influence large populations of our greatest critical thinkers that think outside the box. Or three, which I believe is most plausible because I'm a critical thinker myself, and that is that Q may be a psyop that is because of some things that he said. There's just a couple things that he said not to prep. You should always prep just in case of any kind of disaster. I mean, does he know that natural disasters won't happen, and that an EMP can't happen? You should prep and have 6 months of food and water at the very least, and maybe something to protect it. I do believe that, and also, you think of how many people follow this, and I still follow it because maybe it's one. Maybe it's the first thing, but it's most likely the third thing. This is how counterintelligence works. It's kind of like, look over here, and while everyone's looking over here, the real meaty stuff is going on over here. So that's just my take on Q. I just mentioned that because I saw it in the corner, and I think that's important to put out there. And I'm just gonna leave you on one last thing by my boy Marfoogle, that was said last night. This was recorded at 1 in the morning. This whole thing didn't start till 3 in the morning. So this is before there was any sign that Massachusetts had any problem.
The black military helicopters are definitely stepping it up here in the Boston area. So if you're in Boston and you actually see that as well, please make sure to put that in chat.